My Catholic Faith, Lesson 25. Pride, covetousness, lust. Pride makes one admire himself in the belief that his excellence, imagined or real, is the result of his own worth. Our Lord condemned pride in the parable of the Pharisee and the publican. Jesus said that the humble and repentant publican was justified in the eyes of God, while the proud Pharisee went home unjustified. Covetousness is one of the ugliest of sins. It was the sin of Judas. He loved money so much that he even betrayed our Lord for 30 pieces of silver. What is pride? Pride is an inordinate love of one's own excellence, an excessive self-esteem. Our Lord is the best example of meekness and patience. Did he use his almighty power to punish those who did him evil? For hours he hung meekly on the cross until he died. Every day God is patient with sinners, giving them time to change their ways. God, the Supreme One, is not proud. The proud man overestimates himself and believes himself the source of his own excellence. The virtue of humility, which disposes us to acknowledge our limitations, is opposed to pride. Some are proud of their appearance, others of their family, talents, position, money, and the virtues they imagine they possess. Even if we do have excellent abilities or possessions, we should not be proud of them, remembering that they all come from God. Instead, we should be humbly thankful and see in what way we can make a return to God for such gifts. Every proud man is an abomination to the Lord. Pride may be called the mother of all vices, for most sins can be traced to it. From pride arise ambition, vanity, presumption, disobedience, hypocrisy, obstinacy, and sin. For pride is a reservoir of sin, a source which runs over with vice. Because of it God sends unheard of afflictions and brings men to utter ruin. The roots of the proud God plucks up, to plant the humble in their place. Pride was the sin of our first parents, who wanted to be as great as God. It was the sin of King Pharaoh. He was so proud that in spite of the miracles Moses worked, he refused to be convinced. The proud man tries to attract notice and praise, strives after honours, distinctions, and other worldly favours. He is overconfident in himself and despises the assistance of God. Pride was the sin of Lucifer. The proud man pretends to be greater than he is, and tries by all manner of means to attract the praise of others, even using false humility to do so. God hates pride and punishes it severely. He often punishes secret pride by withdrawing his assistance from the proud man. And deprived of God's aid, the proud man often falls into grievous sins, leading to his humiliation. The thrones of the arrogant God overturns and brings men to utter ruin. God resists the proud. Everyone who exalts himself shall be humbled. Thus the proud King Herod was eaten up by worms and died. If we, however, despise sin as beneath us, that is not pride, but a virtuous self-respect. A decent regard for cleanliness and neatness is not vanity. The ambition to exceed in good things, as in studies, in order to make the best use of God's gift, is to be commended. God wishes us to be his excellent children. What is covetousness? Covetousness is the excessive love for and seeking after wealth and other worldly possessions. Covetousness is also called avarice. A covetous person strives for more riches than he requires and is never content, however much he already possesses. From covetousness arise hard-heartedness towards the poor, lying, cheating, usury, defrauding labourers of wages, and other sins. Those who seek to become rich fall into temptation and a snare. For covetousness is the root of all evils. It destroys faith, for the avaricious are so absorbed in money-getting that they have no time for their spiritual welfare. To provide for one's future and that of one's family is praiseworthy. To avoid waste and extravagance is a virtue. We meet with covetous persons among both rich and poor. Often among the rich there is money without avarice, and among the poor avarice without money. Liberality, which disposes us rightly to use worldly goods, is opposed to covetousness. The avaricious man is very foolish. He works hard all his life and becomes hated by men. His money is left to heirs who most probably ridicule his miserliness. For when he, the avaricious man, dies, he shall take none of it. His wealth shall not follow him down. What is lust? Lust is the inordinate seeking of the pleasure of the flesh. The pleasure which this vice has as its object is at once so attractive and connatural to human nature as to excite keenly man's desire and to lead him into the commission of many other disorders in the pursuit of it. Of all vices, lust is most severely punished on earth. It was the cause of the deluge. It was the cause of the destruction with fire and brimstone of Sodom and Gomorrah. The consequences of lust are, on the part of the intellect, the blinding of the intellect, hastiness in judgment, complete lack of consideration, and inconstancy. On the part of the will, inordinate self-love, attachments to things of this earth, and forgetfulness of the life to come. Amendment is very difficult, and the sinner falls into many other sins. Solomon, who yielded to lust, finally lost all his wisdom and turned to worship false gods. The best remedy against lust is the avoidance of all occasions. Temptations against purity should not be combated directly by focusing the attention upon them, but rather indirectly by engaging in work, seeking distractions, or changing one's occupation. The consequences of lust are seen in the case of Henry VIII. It was the cause of his apostasy, and his apostasy dragged an entire nation into similar apostasy. For know this and understand that no fornicator or unclean person or covetous one, for that is idolatry, has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Sodomy, or sins against purity by persons of the same sex, is a form of lust.